Hello and welcome to Rise Unwind. My name is Dan. You know, each and every week we try to talk to people from across the country about things you could do in your neighborhood. And on this week's show, we got this.
For example, this is a car mat that we have right here, just a standard car mat. Something spills on it like this, and look what happens. It doesn't soak in, it just runs off. So the water is staying at the surface. Then I can just do this. Imagine if this was coffee or juice or something like that. And that's it. It's just that easy.
I like the storyline of, of who his father was. I wanted that, we were expecting to be delivering a lot more comedy. But once I realized it was like, a kind of a sincere, discerning role, that was even greater. It was an opportunity to do something that was a little different than what I normally do.
All of that and more right here on Rise and Unwind. What do you get when you mix couture chaos, murder in paradise, and a comeback wedding with secrets that could pretty much kill? It's another simple favor. It's the long-awaited sequel that reunites Anna Kendrick and Blake Lively for another round of sharp wit, killer fashion, and even deadlier twists, this time in Korie. Joining the cast is Tony winner Alex Newell, who plays Vicky, Stephanie's fierce and fabulous book agent. Welcome to the show, Alex. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing okay.
Good.
This sequel, it brings back a lot of wild energy from the original, but now we're in Korie with even more secrets and high fashion. What's it like stepping into the deliciously chaotic world?
Amazing. And I get to be in Capri. Who doesn't want that? And oh God, that backdrop is gorgeous.
From Shucked on Broadway to a Paul Feig thriller in Italy, you've been booked and busy. What drew you to Another Simple Favor, and how did it feel to collaborate with this ensemble?
When my agent texted me and said, "Hey, do you want your White Lotus moment?" I was like, absolutely. And she said, well, Paul is directing the sequel of A Simple Favor and wants you to come on out to Capri and play this role. And I was so honored because I'd worked with Paul on Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist before. And so to come back and be actually directed by him and work with this incredible ensemble was just a dream come true. Everybody was so lovely.
And the movie blends comedy, mystery, and a little bit of glam, sometimes all pretty much in the same scene. What was your favorite moment in the film, or one that you think that you will always remember?
Oh my goodness. My favorite moment from the film that I think that entrance to Capri, the boat ride into it. I think that was just breathtakingly beautiful, just riding in onto it. Ugh.
And between the twists, the couture, and the cast, chemistry, what do you think will surprise audiences the most this time around?
The chaos. I mean, there is so much happening that you don't get a break from it. I think that's what they'll really take from it, but also kind of like what friendship is. I think we all have that frenemy and that friend that we all like to jab at and talk to, but we love them regardless.
Alex, thanks for joining me this morning. You should check out Another Simple Favor. It's available now on Amazon Prime. You know what happens when life throws everything at you before you even have a chance to figure it out? That's the idea behind Margo's Got Money Troubles, a series that follows a young woman navigating money, identity, and some very unexpected choices along the way. Today, we're joined by Rufie Thorpe, the author behind the story, and Eva Anderson, executive producer and writer on the series, to talk about bringing this bold, funny, and very real world to life. Welcome to the show, you two. How are you?
Great. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks so much.
All right, Rufie, this story started as your novel. What was the moment that you knew Margo's story had to be told in this way?
Well, I think the whole book really began to come together. I'd had this idea for a character who was both a mother and an OnlyFans model, but when I brought in her father, who is an ex-pro wrestler, that's when the draft really started to come alive, was watching the two of them together.
So, Eva, when you came on to help adapt it, what stood out to you about Margo as a character?
I mean, Margo's such an interesting character in Rufie's book. She's very resourceful. She's scrappy. You know, early in the book, she gets pregnant, has an affair with her college professor and gets pregnant, but is very she doesn't blame anyone for it. She just decides to take what life has given her and make something of it. And because of that, you get to follow her into all these really interesting places. She's also just like very funny, and she's very loving, and she's a great mom, and she's a a great OnlyFans model. She's somebody you really want to root for, Margo.
And the show balances humor with some really real life struggles. How did you find that tone without losing either side? And how much did you pull from real life moments?
I mean, it all came from Rufie's book. She has this really interesting tone that's both very, very funny and at times very dark. And I think a lot of it was just our cast. You know, we had Elle Fanning playing Margo, Michelle Pfeiffer playing Cheyenne, her mother, and Nick Offerman playing Jinx, her father, the pro wrestler. And those three could really balance so much in terms of putting them through really difficult things while never losing their heart and their humor and their love for each other.
And there's a lot of themes here. There's money, identity, motherhood, even some internet culture. What do you hope audiences take away after watching?
I hope that they feel more empowered to make their life something they want on their own terms.
The book's and the show's very non-judgmental, and I hope that they don't judge other people and they approach the people they love with love.
And now that people can watch it, what are you most excited for audiences to experience or react to?
Nicole Kidman wrestles Nick Offerman in a pro wrestling ring. And so that's pretty exciting.
I just love getting to see Elle Fanning, this feral and sort of bestial and very much a wrestler's daughter. And also the portrayal of that first postpartum period, I feel like is more accurate than I've seen on TV. And I'm excited for people to see her this way.
You buried the lead with Nicole Kidman and Nick Offerman there. All right.
Yeah. And Michelle Pfeiffer sings. That's also important.
All right. I'm excited for all of this. Margo's Got Buddy Travels is now streaming on Apple TV, so you can catch up on the series and see why so many people are already talking about it. Hey, I want to thank you, too, for joining me today.
Thanks so much.
Thank you for having us.
One bold idea turns a full-blown international mess in Balls Up. It's a fast, over-the-top comedy where marketing stunt goes completely sideways and it doesn't let up. And today, Paul Walter Hauser plays Elijah right in the middle of the chaos. Paul, it's good to have you here, my friend. How are you?
Good to be here, man. Thank you for having me. Yeah, this movie, some people might find it far-fetched. You know, Wahlberg and I play two guys who are kind of, co-workers, but also arch nemesises, as it were, if that's a word, nemesises. But we end up at this World Cup game, Brazil versus Argentina, and we ruin the World Cup, and the entire nation of Brazil is after us. So it may seem far-fetched, but, sports fanatics are pretty tribalistic. This is the biggest game of the year. And as we see in baseball sometimes, a fan will get involved in the outfield where they stick their hand out and literally make an outfielder miss a fly ball. So something like this could definitely happen. And far be it from me to think that the Brazil soccer fans wouldn't want to kill two guys that ruined the World Cup.
Elijah gets thrown into some wild situations. How did you approach playing this character who was basically trying to just keep up with the chaos? Was there any real life influence to build that character off of?
Elijah is a bit of a fish out of water. He really isolates and is kind of in his own world, kind of work obsessed. I don't think he's on a dating app. I don't think he has many male friends or camaraderie or community. So this film is really him stepping out of his comfort zone entirely. And not only does he make a new friend by doing that, he kind of tests his own fortitude. He has to kind of man up or balls up, so to speak, in the film. And that was fun to play as an actor. It's fun to have to rise to the occasion amidst feeling the ineptitude of the character.
And the comedy here is pretty bold, pretty big. What was the most fun moment for you to film?
Oh, man. I think anything with me, Mark, and Sacha Baron Cohen was a lot of fun. And anything with Molly Shannon, because I'm a big SNL nerd. I love Saturday Night Live, and she's one of my favorite people.
I can't wait to see you and Sacha together. You guys are some of them. In my opinion, you two are some of the best actors I've ever seen.
Oh,
so
thanks, man.
You two on screen together is just going to be very, very fun to see.
We got some magic moments.
You're also sharing the screen with Mark Wahlberg. What was that dynamic like behind the scenes?
Mark is super generous, super funny. He has a playfulness to him, a sense of almost like a naughty kid in school who's like, what can I get away with? Mark has a mischievous side, and he's very funny and sharp and well-read. So I got along with him swimmingly, and I hope people feel like we have good chemistry, because as we were doing it, it felt like we had good chemistry.
And I want to thank you for joining me today. Paul Walter Hauser, Balls Up is now streaming on Prime Video. So if you're looking for something fast, chaotic, and just a good time, it's ready to check out right now. Paul, I want to thank you for joining me today.
Thank you, Dan.
Reality TV families come and go, but the Robertsons somehow turned beards, duck calls, and family chaos into a cultural phenomenon. Now they're back with Duck Dynasty, The Revival, following Willie and Korie Robertson as the family grows. The kids start their own lives, and the Duck Commander legacy just keeps evolving. The new season even opens with a tribute to Phil Robertson, while the rest of the clan brings plenty of the humor that fans remember. Joining us now are Willie and Korie Robertson. Great to see you both. It's great to see the Robertson family back on TV. What made this the right time to bring everyone together again?
Well, we kind of looked up and all of our kids were back. After the show ended in 2017, we had a really busy run, so we were ready to take a little break, and then all our kids like scattered and went off to college and got married and all the things, and we looked up one day and all of our kids were here back home. We all live right there together on this little family compound, and our kids all work with us in some capacity up at Duck Commander within the warehouse, and so thought it'd be fun to kind of give the fans a little update into our life and where we are now.
When people first met your family, the kids were a lot younger. Now they're married, raising families, and starting businesses. What's it like watching the next generation step into the legacy?
Oh, man, it's been a blast. Yeah, for sure. We had, I think the main test was, do you want to be back on television? Because our kids had been on it, and so when they decided they would, we knew we didn't ruin them too bad. Well, watching them grow up, and our cast members have gotten way bigger because we have a lot more little kids, and also all their spouses. And so, yeah, it's been fun watching kind of what they're going to do in life. And fortunately for us, they all ended up back here in Louisiana. And yeah, it's just been a joy. And then a lot of them have drifted to the office. And so, yeah, it's kind of it's made for the kind of the next generation to see who's going to take it on. And, you know, I didn't take over Duck Commander until I was 30. Grew up in the business, never saw myself working here when I was 30. That's when Korie and I came back and actually started working full-time for the company. So they're right about the age to where we were, and we're going to see who's next potentially to jump into the business.
Duck Commander has always been at the center of the show. How has the business changed as the next generation gets involved?
Well, we're still right here in our Duck Commander warehouse. We're still making duck calls right here in West Monroe, Louisiana. But now the family business has expanded quite a bit. Sadie's Live Original, her whole women's ministry is there. John Luke's into coffee. Bella's actually running our store and our museum. Will and Abby are back. Spoiler alert, Will and Abby made back this season. So everybody's right there, but everyone is doing different things.
The premiere includes a tribute to Phil Robertson. What did that mean to honor him in that way?
Yeah, it was kind of crazy because the week that the actual new series started, season 1, was the week that Phil actually passed away. And so it was literally a passing of the torch from Phil and that generation down to the next. And so we just thought it'd be awesome to start out season 2 honoring him. And we see some great parts of the show on there. I mean, it's like tons of real moments, and then also we had to kind of make it Robertson, and we had some tributes to Phil, some competitions like we like to do. Just a fun way to remember him, not only for us as a family as we go through the process of healing after he's passed on, but also for all the fans who's watched him for years and have really fallen in love with Phil and what he says, and yeah, to see him start off this in this show. It really was a tribute to the whole effort of even doing it. I mean, like Korie says, when we did that episode, it just felt like this is why we needed to come back and do the show.
Yeah, it was really special. The most special part to me was having Miss Kay on there. We actually got to sit down with an interview for her, and she got to just reminisce about Phil and what his life meant to her. So it was really, really special. I was nervous for her, but she did so good, and I know that we'll all be glad, our family will be glad to have that moment and that legacy captured.
There's also a sweet moment with Sadie welcoming her baby girl. What's it been like watching the family grow with all these new grandkids?
Yes, you get to see it was really full circle season because it does start off with the passing of Phil and ends with new life being born. So there was a real passing of the torch in this season. Sadie actually found out she was pregnant the week we started filming season 1. Yeah. And then Kit comes into the world at the end of season 2. So yeah, you just get a lot of real life moments. I think whenever we all sit down as a family to say, like, what do we want this show to be? One of the words that all the kids said was authentic. You know, we wanted to bring people into our lives a little bit, let them see things that we're really going through, the good and the bad, and the fun. There's a lot of fun, and we laugh a lot. But that's kind of what it's all about. It's life.
And actually, since we've gotten through filming, we have had twins now. John Luke and Mary Kate have had twins, so which is our 10th and 11th grandchild. So grandchildren. So. Corey's getting old. Corey's getting old.
And your family has always mixed humor with deeper conversations about faith and life. Why do you think that resonates with so many viewers?
Yeah, I think, I think our take in life is always tried to be not take ourselves too seriously. And so when you get thrust into the spotlight and the fame, I think you really kind of find out who you are and what you want to be and what you want to promote. And I think it all for us came back to what our core was, which was faith, which is why we even did the show in the first place. Was really just to potentially get the gospel out to more people, to have a bigger platform. And so I remember talking to Phil about that, and Phil was not interested in doing the show at all when we first pitched it to him. And we talked through how it could actually get the gospel out to more people, and we certainly saw that happen. Not just through the show and through having a positive show that everybody can watch, but also through the books that have been written, the podcasts that have been done, the movies that have been made, all the things that we felt strongly about to put out there, that we had a passion for. And when you mix that with fun and humor, I think it's just a great combination, because everything is so serious now, and the world's serious and it's tough, and there's problems and politically, and everybody is at each other's throats. And so I think Duck Dynasty was a great show for people to sit down and watch and just kind of take a break and go, let me just smile and laugh and think about more positive things.
When people watch this new season, what do you hope they take away from the Robertson family today?
I think we want people to just see real life and see that, we're not perfect. Nobody's perfect, but we do all come together at the end of the day, around the table. I think that moment of the original Duck Dynasty is still happening for our family. And so it's in this season as well, that moment where we come around the table together. We thank God for what we have. We thank God for our blessings, and we forgive whatever grievances we might have or whatever fights we might have throughout that episode or that week. But I just think that's really important. I think that's what resonated with people the first time around, to see a family that isn't perfect, but that loves each other, and to see people who put faith at the center of our lives. And that's who we are. It's what we do. It's what we've continued to do. And we hope that resonates with people.
Yeah, and I hope that they see how important our family is to us, and how much we intentionally pour into our family to keep us together, to share meals together, to share in each other's joys and bursts, but also the struggles and when you're down. And so that's the importance of family, and that's why we made the show, is actually for other families as well, so that they can have another time to get together, spark a conversation, and just really promote family. And so our family has always stayed together through it all, and so it's so important and vital. And I think this show would help, hopefully help families get a little smile, but also remember how important family actually is.
I want to thank you two for joining me today. You can catch Duck Dynasty, the revival, on A&E, with new episodes airing Saturday nights at 10 p.m. Eastern. It's also streaming on the A&E app and at anetv.com. Willie, Korie, thanks for spending a few minutes with us. Imagine waking up in somebody else's body and it's your worst enemy. Swapped follows a tiny woodland creature and a majestic bird who suddenly switch bodies and are forced to work together to survive. It's a fun, fast-moving story, but underneath it all, it really is about empathy, family, and seeing life from a different perspective. The film features a big cast, including Michael B. Jordan and Cedric the Entertainer, who plays a father at the center of it all. Cedric the Entertainer is here with us now. Welcome to the show, my friend. How are you?
All right, good, brother. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. The story behind this blends comedy with a real message about empathy. What stood out to you when you first read this script?
I mean, I really love the idea of this, father-son kind of relationship. The son is kind of stretching out, trying to, experiment and find a new way in life, and his father that's trying to hold on to the traditions in which we kind of lived by, and those things that he felt make them safe and that he would do as a father. And I think that, generationally, my real life is dealing with that. My son is that 25-year-old with bigger ideas than I had at 25, and the guts to go and try them sometimes. So you're like, whoa, I don't know if you can do that, right? And so I think that's what I really resonated with me, is this idea that the generations after you always push the line a little bit further down the street.
And the whole idea is about literally seeing life from somebody else's point of view. What do you think audiences will take home from that?
I think it's very poignant to the times that we live in, for all of us to be able to kind of embrace what it would be like to be in someone else's shoes, to be in their particular circumstance, and understand that if I just had an opportunity to see it from that POV, I could be more tolerant, I could be cooler, I could be, more accepting of differences. And I think that that's really important, that the youth see this. Of course, that's the energy that the animated movies are about, but the adults who take them to the movies will see it in their own adult way. These kind of themes that I think will allow for a great message, but a great moment of entertainment.
And when this project came your way, what was it about Swap that stood out to you?
I mean, really, I like the storyline of, again, of who this father was. I wanted that, we were expecting to be delivering a lot more comedy, but once I realized it was like, a kind of a sincere, discerning role, that was even greater. It was an opportunity to do something that was a little different than what I normally do. So, but I love playing these father characters, but this one was like, again, you understood that the comedy relief was going to come from somewhere else, and I was there to kind of help support the story, and that was great. That's like a different kind of acting skill that you get to use when you kind of like make sure that you're the person that's carrying the plot and keeping the story alive itself.
And being part of a cast like this with voices like Michael B. Jordan and Juno Temple,
Yeah.
what was that experience like for you?
I mean, again, another exciting part to do it. I mean, of course, Michael B. Jordan. This was, even when we started doing this, was pre the hype of Sinners, so we had no idea he was going to become an Oscar winner and all these things. So, but but he was just, a great talent, one that you knew had great potential of being a superstar. And of course, Juno is fun. I love Ted Lasso and her roles, and then Tracy Morgan's one of my great friends. And so, I was just looking forward to having a good time while all being on the same project.
All right, Cedric, thanks for joining us today. You can catch Swapped on Netflix right now. Definitely a fun one to throw on this weekend. Thank you for joining us once again, Cedric.
Thank you. I'll holler.
Winter has a way of sneaking up on your car even when everything seems fine. Between the cold, salt, rough roads, there's usually more wear than people actually realize. April is National Car Care Month, so it's a good time to check in before those small issues turn into very expensive big ones. Brian Moody is here with that and how things that you could change for your car actually matter. It's good to have you, Brian. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for having me. You're right. The roads and the weather can have an impact on your car, but it's easy to stay on top of that with just a few tips.
So why do you think spring is the right time to reset your car instead of just waiting until something goes wrong?
Well, usually car stuff is an outdoor activity, cleaning the car or moving the car or taking it. If it's below zero, nobody wants to go outside and clean up a spill or go out to the car and clean it. Usually not. So spring is a good time to do a little bit of a reset, and you can look for some of the softer bits on your car that can be impacted by weather. Like you said, frost, snow, sleet, salt, all that kind of stuff can have an impact on things like wiper blades, floor mats, tires, alignment because of the road. All of those things can be impact on your car because the winter is gone or leaving, and now we're going to have the spring, and also because summer road trips are coming up.
So when you look at spring maintenance, what tends to get overlooked pretty much the most?
It's funny, what people often overlook are wipers. They just think, oh, you just replace them and then you just keep driving until it doesn't work anymore. there's actually a little bit of way that you can replace your wipers, and you can use wipers that enhance your visibility outside. So for example, I have a wiper here that's the Rain-X Latitude Water Repellency Wiper. It's a 2-in-1 blade that actually moves back and forth like you would expect for a wiper to do, right? It clears off the water from the windshield, but it also applies the magic of Rain-X to your windshield, which keeps it from streaking and having bugs stick to it. So that's one thing that you can do yourself that's pretty easy.
So how do you decide the difference between something that's like a DIY fix versus something that's is better to have a professional just do it?
So I think wipers are a good example of a thing you can do yourself, and I'm going to show you just how easy it is. So for example, this is a wiper. This is the piece that you would get from the store or get, order online. It has a simple door that opens right here. This is your car. So this sits on the car. All you do is just take this, click it into place, close the door, and you're done. That's it. That's as long as it took to replace the wiper, one wiper on a car. Now, times that by 2, and that's how long it should take. And you can find the exact right wiper by going online to rainx.com and put in your year, make, and model. And these do work. Like, they do apply the water repellent technology as they go. So that's worth checking out.
It's really weird to watch it beat up on the windshield because I have those exact wipers and I love them to death. So,
yeah. Isn't that cool? On the freeway, sometimes you don't even need to run the wipers. On the freeway, the water just kind of like moves back itself. They work so well.
I've noticed it. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And for people that are thinking about, like, let's say getting a spring refresh on their vehicle, thinking about maybe trading it in, selling it in, getting something to do, something new. But how do you increase that value that makes kind of a difference?
Right, by keeping the interior and the exterior clean. That's one thing that you can do. And there's Rain-X Carpet and Upholstery Cleaner, which not only cleans, which many products do, but it also repels stains. I'm going to show you what I mean. This will help keep your car's interior clean longer, which could be worth more money to you. So for example, this is a car mat that we have right here, just a standard car mat. Something spills on it like this, and look what happens. It doesn't soak in, it just runs off. So the water is staying at the surface. Then I can just do this. Imagine if this was coffee or juice or something like that. And that's it. It's just that easy. So it prevents future harm, but also cleans it at the moment. So using that kind of technology or that kind of product can make your car worth more. When someone comes to look at your car for sale and they see that it's been cared for, they're going to think, oh, if it's cared for where I can see it, it must have been cared for where I can't see it. So having a clean car, and also take all your stuff out. Don't leave your personal belongings in the car when you're showing it to a prospective buyer. They want to picture themselves in it, not the concert that you went to 5 years ago.
That's perfect. All right, so where can people go if they want to find more or stay on top of all of this?
For more information on the products that we talked about, you can go to rainx.com, and that will help you find the exact right wiper and other products that can help keep your car clean and last longer.
Brian Moody, I want to thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
Hey, I want to thank you for tuning in to Rise Unwind. If you want to be part of the show, just go to our website, riseunwindtv.com, fill out the form, send it in. Maybe you could be on a future episode. We're on social media, Facebook and Instagram. Plus, you can find our YouTube channel at Rise Unwind. And until next week, that was the show we like to call Rise and Unwind.